Hello out there in barbecue land. I am Ken Anderson with andysbarbecue.com. Today my project is to show you how simple and easy it is to produce great barbecue with an Andy's barbecue drum smoker. They have been around for years and years, and for the past few years I think I've perfected the use of one to make it simple for any backyard barbecuer or anyone in the catering business. I will start out with explaining how the drum smoker works and the parts involved, and then we'll go into the 5 flavor profiles that you produce with great barbecue. Okay, here's our drum cooker. This one is got a sign on it, says Andy's Lounge and Restaurant. That was my father's business back in the 70s with my Uncle Don, and they had 3 or 4 around the state of Iowa, usually in the smaller towns. So I just kept that name alive after they quit business. And it's worked real well for our catering business. They had a good reputation in central Iowa, and I just carried it forward with barbecue catering. Okay, the drum cooker has charcoal basket, and all these parts are made here in Iowa, so they're made in the USA, which is the best you can get. Charcoal basket holds 10 pounds of charcoal, lump or briquettes, or wood chunks if that's what you want to use. We have a diffuser pan or grill top. Each drum comes complete with 4 wheels, easily to roll around. I'll demonstrate that on the one over here. And then we have 2 cooking racks, one for the diffuser pan or the lower rack for cooking, and one for the top. Barrels come with vents on the bottom, 3 of them. The more you pop them open, the hotter your cooker will get. We normally operate with 1 popped open. Sometimes if we're cooking hot and fast, we go up to 3. You have the lid, of course, the thermometer. So this is grate level, and this will tell you what the temperature is at the cooking grate, and it's important to understand and know that. And of course a lid. Handles for lifting, easy lifting, handles for the top lid. Okay, I want to show you Andy's drum smoker that's been around for 5 years, and it's just a good example is that if you take care of something reasonably well, they'll last forever. Like I said, this one's 5 years old, one of the first ones I made, and it's still operating any day I want it to. So here I've got an example of some chicken legs and wings that we're cooking up today for our demonstration, and they're coming along pretty good. They've been on for about an hour and a half and probably got another hour to go, and then it's going to be time to eat. As I discussed a little earlier, we're going to talk about the 5 flavor profiles of great barbecue. But first, let me explain a little bit about the passion I have for barbecue and how I got started in barbecuing. Back in the 70s, college was pretty tough to get in for the average person. So I spent my time and energy learning a trade, which happened to be starting out in a barbecue restaurant. It was called Treelor's Family Restaurant of Fort Dodge, Iowa. And it had the original great southern barbecue of ribs and chicken, and it was just busier than heck all day long for 30 years. So I learned from them, starting out washing dishes and making salads and prepping meats and working into a pit master position. One thing some people don't understand about a pitmaster position is you have to learn how to clean the pit before you can operate it. And that was like a 5 o'clock in the morning before I went to school project. And I did that for 6-8 months. And then I got into barbecuing from there. Their mainstay and largest selling product was ribs. They had a brick barbecue pit with glass sides and glass doors, so you could actually see the ribs cooking and dripping in the big pots of homemade barbecue beans. That's how I started out in the barbecue business, and if I hadn't had that experience, I don't think I would have the understanding of what it takes to do great barbecue today. Now you know a little bit how I got started and how my interest grew in barbecue, and being in that type of business, starting out as a part-time caterer and kind of a backyard barbecue cook or griller, pit master, whatever you want to call it. That's what I did. I also over the years have attended barbecue schools, one by the winningest pitmaster barbecue cook in the world, Myron Mixon with Jack's Old South. That was a 3-day intense training down in Georgia. Had a great time and learned a lot about barbecue. Not that I'm going to present his recipes today, because I don't really like to change mine. I think they're pretty good and they've worked so well for me over the years. And I have attended a couple other schools in the process also. And the thing about barbecue, whether it's in the backyard or professionally in the catering business, it changes. Every year there's a different seasoning or a different sauce that comes out, and you have to make up your mind if you can tweak yours a little bit more or stay with the old standards that's worked well for you over the years. I like the old standards. However, I have tweaked a little bit, I'll confess that, and it's what I've paid to learn. So I think at the end of the day, it makes me a lot better with my product, so I can serve or entertain my family and friends with a much better product. Okay, on to the 5 flavor profiles of great barbecue. Many people don't understand that it takes more than one flavor to put out a good product. You have to start with a marination or an injection. And the first thing and the most important thing is you have to start with a good product, quality product, because you can make it better. If you start with a poor product, you don't have much of a chance making that better. So always stick with top line quality products. Like I said, the first step is prepping your meat, getting it ready for a marinade or injection. I prefer marination. It's much easier to work with, especially on the smaller cuts of meats or fowl. And then we go into rubs, which is usually a combination of salts and sugars and a few other seasonings to give it that final little kick before it goes onto your smoker or grill. And then, of course, you got the smoke. And that is just a wide open discussion. I like to use any fruit wood that's available. Lately I've been using a combination of hickory and plum. Because I have a plum tree in the yard, it's right there ready for me to use. And I also use some oak, because I have oak trees in the yard. So those 3 are my particular flavors this time of the year, and have worked really well for me. Then we go into glazes or spritzers, which give a little more flavor as your cooking goes on to complement what you've already done. And then the final, and one of the most important, is the table sauce at the end of your cook. What can you dip your product in to give it that final little wow? And we're going to cover all 5 of those profiles in this little demonstration today. Okay, we're ready to start. We're going to make some marinade for chicken. We use the same marination for chicken wings, chicken breasts, chicken legs, half chickens, whole chickens, beer can chickens, whatever the chicken or turkey that you're using, one marinade fits all. So let's start by explaining some of the utensils and wares you're going to need to put the marinade together and then prep your chicken. Stainless steel pans, round ones work better for me than the square ones. Sharp knives for trimming, etc., cutting fruits and vegetables. Please glove up, be sanitary. You need to do that. Have a good product, starts with quality product, starts with a nice, clean, comfortable surface. I use odor ban. It's a good disinfectant because as you go from chicken into pork, you don't want cross-contamination. So you have to clean up before you switch to another meat product. Nice, clean, white towels. And the reason I say white is when you're working with meat, you're going to get blood spills or etc. So if you use a colored towel, you're not going to see those blood spills as easily as white. I know, it's just me being a little picky. Okay, now we're going to start with the chicken marinade first. In the chicken marinade, first ingredient is anything you can get at the grocery store, chicken stock. This one happens to be all natural, no MSG, and that's what I like the best. Then you're going to need what we call garlic juice. I love working with this. In the past I always used the little cloves smashed. This is so much simpler and more controllable. You're going to need some Andy seasoning, which recipes and procedures for making this will be online shortly. You're going to need lemon and ginger root. Okay, those are the ingredients. First of all, let's start with the chicken broth. We're going to use about 2 cups of this. And this is going to do a couple pouches of marinade. Let's do 3 cups. Then I'll know I'll have enough for both bags. There we go. 3 cups into the bowl. And, excuse me there, 1 cup of water. This water's been boiled, sterilized, or you can use bottled water. But if you're using water out of your tap, be sure to take that step. 1 cup. Now we're going to put in some slices of ginger. Ginger root is available at any of your supermarkets, and it just adds a little bit of a spicier Asian type flavor. Even though this is not Asian barbecue, it adds a little bit of that flavor. And don't eat them alone without a marinade, because you're going to find out they're very, very spicy. Then we're going to go on to the garlic. Like I said, a little bit, looks like this, a little bit goes a long way, so dash or so of that. Okay, we're going to just a couple dashes of Andy seasoning, and then half a lemon juice only. Now you can buy prepared lemon juice. I don't think the quality is as good, so I use the fresh lemon, and you don't need a lot. just a little bit. There's our marinade. The last thing I have to add to it is about a half a cup of brown sugar. And I prefer the light brown sugar as opposed to the dark. For this demonstration, I'm using sugar in the raw. And the reason being is it doesn't burn. It'll go through the high temperatures if you're going to grill your product as opposed to smoking. Okay, there's the light brown sugar. Whisk it up. So it dissolves real well. And we're going to set that aside while we're doing some prep on chicken wings and chicken legs and half chickens. We're going to start off with prepping some chicken wings, buffalo wings, whatever they call them nowadays. I just prefer using chicken wing. You want to take the little tip, this tip, off. Throw them in the freezer, save them. You get a couple pounds or so, and then make yourself some nice fresh chicken broth. Second thing is we're going to go right through that joint, split them in half into the Ziploc bag. Now our chickens have been washed in cold salt water. You want to do that process before you start your marination or prepping. Okay, remove the tip. Sometimes you got to give them a little crack there, and then dejoint. All right, there we go. In a Ziploc bag. We're going to add the marination. Sugar seems to be dissolved real well, so pour that in. Try to hit the bag. There we go. Simple as that. Ziploc back into the cooler. Now you'll want to marinate overnight or at least 4 hours prior to putting them on the grill. Overnight is much, much better. It's not so strong that it's going to really affect a major flavor change. You're going to have darn good flavor by doing it overnight. Now we're going to do the legs. The process on the legs is I look for extra fat, like there. Especially if you're doing catering for a customer, a bone chip, you don't want to give them a bone chip. You don't want to give them a big glob of fat. You want to remove as much of that, and carefully, because you don't want to take so much, you take away all the flavor, because to tell you the truth, that's where your flavor is, in your fat. Fat rendering out of the meat is where the flavor is. Chicken legs are so much easier. Into the bag, in the same process. Marination. Now I've got about a dozen chicken legs in here, and the same on the chicken wings. I think I have a dozen of those, so it doesn't take a lot of marination. To do a lot of product. Okay, that one's ready for the cooler. We're on our last chicken prep product. This is a whole chicken by Tyson, young chickens. Very, very good product. They don't pump it full of any sodium, which is salt, or anything to hide the flavors. It's all natural flavor. And if you use this product or something similar to this, you're going to have, like I said, start with a quality product, and you're going to have a quality product at the end. Take the Tyson chicken out of the package, give it a good bath, cold salt water if you can, that works the best. and then we're going to trim it up and have it and show you how we do it at Andy's Barbecue. First thing, the wing tips. Get rid of them. They just burn and cause you trouble if you leave them on there. Secondly, if they have a neck and a giblet, get rid of that. Pull this fat off. It's extra fat and it is flavor, but it's nothing you want a good customer to bite into. Or you don't want to feed that to your wife or friend. Okay, now we're going to half it. I start by going right down the middle of the breast portion. Works the best. Give it a little pound. You open it up. Okay, here's where the neck lies. We're going to get rid of that portion of this product. Good sharp knife. It's the best tool you can have. So make sure you have a nice sharp French knife. I don't know if it was a Frenchman that invented it, or why it's called that, but it works darn well. Get rid of my extra fat. Look it over good. Look for any extra fats, or sometimes you'll see a little bit of bruising. I don't see any in these. Okay, we've done the prep work. We're going to do the marination the same as previously. I do pull this little pouch open, fill it with Andy's. Extra little bath in there, like extra little flavor. Same way on this one. Okay, Ziploc is our friend here. It's going to help with the marination. It holds those juices in there. You can usually get 2 per bag, or a whole chicken per bag. In with the marinade. Just going to finish the marinade off. Keep it simple whenever you can. And there we go. You got a whole chicken or 2 halves. And chicken preparation is over with for today. Now we also do thighs and turkeys. Turkeys are the same process as a chicken, but you're working with a lot larger bird. So you need more marination, more seasoning, but the process is the same. Now we're moving on to the pork products, starting with the marinade we need, and then we'll go into the trimming of the products. So first of all, we're going to start with apple juice. And this isn't a real precise measurement on the apple juice. I'm going to say we got a good ½ gallon in there. We add a couple dashes of Frank's hot sauce. That's the best kind to use. Just gives it a little bit of zip. We're going to add a little bit of Wright's liquid smoke. Again, I think the best product to use, and it doesn't take much. Sugar in the brown sugar. And again, on the website, we'll have precise amounts available, so you can do the measuring you want. I don't go through that here because I've been doing this so long. I know I'm pretty close. It's the way my grandmother cooked. And I'm telling you, she was one of the best cooks I have ever come across. Chicken and noodles out of this world. Spread out over newspapers on the kitchen table. She made the homemade noodles, and oh boy, what a smell. That was the best I've ever had. Back to the marination. At the end, we're going to add a little bit, like say a cup of vinegar. white vinegar. I don't suggest using the apple cider vinegar because it's too strong. Besides, you've got your apple juice flavor in there. The biggest thing is learning how to open this. There we go. Got it. And again, it's not precise. I'm looking for about a cup. Probably went over that a little bit. There we go. Marination for pork. Works on butts, ribs, pork loin. You don't need any fresh fruits or anything with that. However, you can add some MSG. I don't, because there are quite a few people that are maybe allergic to that. So I leave it out of the process. Okay, marination is done. Now we're going to do some trimming of the most popular pork product is pull-apart pork butts. So we'll go through that process first, then we'll move on to pork loin and ribs. Like I explained earlier, our most popular pork product is the pull-apart pork. It makes a wonderful sandwich. It makes actually a very good dinner. If you prep it properly and cook it properly, it's just unbeatable, and it has a way of absorbing that smoke flavor and the seasonings. It's just great. So like I said, start with a good product. I like to shop at Sam's Club for pork butts because the price is reasonable and the quality is always there. They're always well trimmed, which takes the trimming out of your preparation. And if you do a large quantity of cooking, then you'll understand what that means about cutting down on the preparation and trimming. It's really helpful, and they do a far better job of it than any of the other providers I've run across out there. Okay, let's go. Let's open it up and see what we got. Two pork butts. Usually they're from 5 to 8 pounds a piece. They have in the middle a bone, which you want to keep in during the cooking process. Both bone. Now, one thing I forgot to do, and I always preach, glove up. You don't want cross-contamination. See, it's 35 years of this and I forgot my gloves. So give me a second while I put the gloves on. Okay, gloved up, all ready to go. Let's start the preparation. Like I said, this product is pretty well trimmed. You need some fat on there for flavor and moisture. So we're going to leave that on there. We're not even touching it. The same way with this one. Leave that amount of fat on there. There's nothing on the back that looks like it's out of color. What I do is on the back, I try to lift that out a little bit because I want to pack it full of Andy seasoning. Now, if you're in a barbecue contest, competition style, you don't want to use this process. But this is for the backyard cook, and this is for the caterer that actually has to make money with their product. The more flavor you can put into that product, the more repeat business you're going to get. And the big thing about pork is bark. You want the golden brown, sometimes dark brown bark. It adds to the flavor of the pork. After that fat is rendered out of there, you need other flavors to keep it moist, and the bark helps hold in that moisture. We have our marinade, and now we're going to put them in the bags and add the marination. But like I said, we're going to apply some Andes in this portion here and over the back. Now you repeat this process when you take it out of the marination and put it on the grill. You repeat the rub part. I always, on the pork butts, add this prior with my marination. And I also add extra salt. Salt helps. I didn't put salt in the marination, but salt adds drawing power for your marination to go into all the pores and make this pork product happy. Okay, let's put them in the bag. Usually one Ziploc bag will hold one pork butt. Hopefully that's what this is going to work out to be. You notice I didn't season the fat side, and I'll tell you why. There's no seasoning or marination that can penetrate that fat cap. You're going to have to get the penetration from underneath on the meat portion of the pork butt. And that doesn't make any difference what brand of pork you use, it's all the same. They have that fat cap. This one's a little tougher to get in, but it'll fit. They always do. Okay? Just enough. Okay, let me get a marinating cup. Doesn't take a whole lot of marination. Just enough to soak it up. And you'll notice overnight, I try to maybe during this marination product, flip it over from this side to this side. It moves the marination around and covers all your product. But see, look at the dark brownish red color. That's what you're looking for on a marinade for a pork product. Okay, that's one butt. There are also, if you get confused in the store when you're shopping for your pork butts, there are also called pork shoulders. I don't know why they have two different names, but they do. I've always called them pork butts, worked with them as pork butts, and as far as I'm concerned, they can stay pork butts. But if you want to use the word shoulder, that's fine too. The butcher will know what you want and understand what you are talking about. Okay, this bag's a little tight, so I'm going to put it inside of another bag a little bit later. Now we're going on to pork loin, and even though it isn't considered cross-contamination from one pork product to another, I just like, for my own peace of mind, to wipe it down a little bit between each preparation. Pork loin, our second most popular pork product, and by far the easiest to prep, to marinate, and to work with and smoke. This is again a Sam's Club product, very well trimmed and very reasonable on the price per pound. I think it was $2.29 per pound. So the first thing I do is I go in and have the product, because it's so much simpler to work with, and it gives you a chance to take a look at the actual meat product. See how even that is? The fat layer, I mean. Not a lot of fat on it. Back here, hardly any. This whole area will give you what you call a very, very colorful smoke ring. And people love to see the smoke ring. And besides that, there's a lot of flavor of smoke and seasoning in that smoke ring. Okay, this has a little bit of fat here, but that's fine, not that much. You still have all that meat, and you've got the cover, the fat cover, to hold in the moisture. Okay, now I'm gonna prep for the marination. I use a larger bag, just as long as it's a clearer bag, or in this case, kind of off clear, off white, and that's so you can see what your product is doing in there. So we'll get rid of the plastic wrap there. Dispose. Okay. First step, Andy's all over the back. Like I said, Andy's seasonings will be available online at andysbbq.com, and or process of making your own using our recipes. More sugar. Pork loves sugar, and so do people. A little bit of salt for that extra drawing power. Not a lot, just a little. Andy's already has salt in it, more on the celery salt and garlic salt side, but I always add a little extra. Now with the pork loin, I don't mess with the front because of the fat. Nothing's going to penetrate that fat. The same as the butts. Lay one in there, one on top of the other. And also with the pork loin, we don't use quite as much marinade. Maybe 2 cups in the whole process. There we go, pork loin. See how simple that was? Not a lot of trimming. And when you get ready to throw that on the grill, you take it out of the marination, re-season it with Andy's and a little bit of sugar, and you're good to go. Pork loin. Now we'll see gold color, brownish gold color. That's what you're looking for. And this is the same process. Flip it over halfway through your marination. So you're going to marinate all sides. Okay, let's move on to the rib preparation, which is probably more work involved with preparing your ribs for the smoker or grill. But it's easy to me, and I think it'll be easy to you after you see how easy it can be if you want to make it easy. Here we go. Same process. Start with a quality product. I've been using Sam's Club for all my pork products and my beef products for that because they're convenient, close, and very well priced, and they have a very good product. This says well trimmed, hand trimmed, premium pork, baby back ribs. They're actually not a baby back rib. Baby back rib is much smaller than this, about half of this size. They are actually a spare rib. They're just calling them baby backs, but it's a very, very good product. So here we go. We'll get started. Cut him out of the pack. This one happens to have 3 racks per pack, which is fine. I usually buy them by the case from Sam's, and I'll get like 15 per case, or 18 per case, I believe it is. Here's what we're looking for in a rib. Sizing, you try to get them as close to the same size as possible. You can see this one's a little smaller and a little thinner, but it'll work. And you want to make sure there's not a lot of gristle. It's been well trimmed here, well trimmed there, well trimmed there. And on the bones, if there's anything hanging, we got to trim it off of there. This one there isn't. Little flap here we're going to trim. And anything on the bones? No. Anything on this bone? No. Flaps even trimmed off. Bones? Nope. Here's a little bit of extra flap meat. Fat we could pull off there. Anything on the bones? No. Good to go. Now you've probably heard a lot of talk about skin on the back of the rib. Removing that. Sometimes they have it removed, sometimes they don't. These they do not have removed. So I'll go through that step. It's a pretty simple process. Usually. Give it a little cut there. Try to find the beginning of it. Take a paper towel and try to grab a hold of that. Sometimes it's a little difficult, but see, you can see how easy it is to get it started. Pull it back. There goes your silver, or skin they call it. They're usually that easy. Now there's two camps on smoking ribs. The camp that says pull this off, and the camp that says leave it on. It holds in moisture and flavor. For this demonstration, I'm pulling it off. One, just so you can, because I'm in the camp of leaving it on for catering. Now, if I was going to present it in a barbecue competition, I would pull it off. But we're feeding a lot of people in a short period of time, so we'll want our rib, even if we're just feeding it to the family, we want as much moisture and flavor in that product as possible, and I'm in that camp of leaving the skin on. I did show you how to pull it off and how simple it was. So let's start with the marination seasoning process. Cover the back with Andes, skin on or skinless, whichever. Again, our sugar in the raw, brown sugar. I call it brown sugar, it's not actually brown sugar, but it works for me. Okay, we're going like this, and like this. Rub that in, flip it. So this is the hardest pork product to prep, and really it's not that tough. You have your seasoning pre-made, either the recipe of Andy's, or if you want to use your favorite seasoning, you go right ahead. The product you get will be whatever you use. Okay, now we're going to bag them and marinate them. Same process, overnight is better. It doesn't take a whole lot of marination. I use a bigger bag because it's easier to work with, easier to flip over. And usually when I'm doing ribs, I try to do a case at a time. So that's why you need the big bag. I don't do them all, the whole case in one bag, but I'll do like 12 per bag. There you go. It takes just that little of marination just to have some moisture and marination in there. Tie it up tight so it doesn't leak in your cooler or your refrigerator. Worst thing you can do is put them in the refrigerator and they spring a leak and run all over your chicken or your beef. Cross-contamination. You don't want that. Okay, let's move on to our last product for today, which we're going to demonstrate beef marinade for briskets, ribeyes, prime ribs, even use it in my hamburger for meatloaf. The marinade is a very simple marinade, but it imparts a lot of flavor to the beef product. Okay, first of all, we're going to start with beef broth. This happens to be a 32-ounce package, which is plenty for, we're going to do one brisket today, so this would be enough for 2 briskets. Beef broth. You have a couple dashes of liquid smoke. You have a couple dashes of, again, Frank's Red Hot Sauce. A Moore's Marinade, about a half a bottle. You can buy it at any grocery store. I happen to pick this one up at Dahl's. It's just a little extra flavor for that beef. Has a dark, rich color, and helps in the smoke ring process. And of course, your Andes seasoning, a couple shakes of that. And we've found out beef loves fresh ground pepper. So we're going to put some of those shakes into our marinade. Set that to the side, whisk it, and you know everybody has a secret part to their recipe. Mine on beef happens to be red onions. Not a lot, just enough to give it a little bit of sweetness. Believe it or not, red onions will put a little sweetness in that. And when you cook the product, smoke the product, grill the product, whatever your process is, you remove the onions. It's just for the marination. So I half it and then French cut it. Here I go with the French cooking again. You know, about 1/2 is enough for one brisket. A little bit of water. Like I said, the exact measurements will be online in our recipes file. Okay, now we're going to get out the beef brisket. For today's demonstration, we're using an XL product that I get at Sam's. It's Angus beef choice. Has a well-trimmed fat cover and a well-trimmed backside, which is where you want to pick up that smoke ring, is on the backside. I just can't say enough about how you get such a good product from Sam's, and they rotate their product, they move enough product, you're always getting a fresh product. You never have to worry about it being outdated or anything along that line. So here's our brisket. I'm going to run the paper towels over it, get any excess blood off. These are packed pretty tight and you don't have much blood associated with it. So, i.e., you're not paying per pound for blood. Beef's expensive enough without having to pay for something you don't really use. You look for any off color. I don't see anything there. This on the tail end there has what you would think is gristle, but it's not. It renders out and it has very good flavor in it. You can see it's been cut there, but that shouldn't be any problem. I don't see any reason to trim what little bit of fat there is there. Now this again is for your backyard use or for catering. If you're competing in a contest, number one, you don't want to use a flat. You want to use a whole brisket that has the point on it so you can serve those great burnt ends you hear so much about. The judges have just about demanded that product. Okay, on to the marination part. Again, we're going to get a larger bag so we can flip it without any problems. And I have made enough marinade for 2 briskets, even though we're only going to do 1. Okay, so first thing, of course, is Andy's. And I am going to put a little on this fat cover, and I'll explain to you why in just a moment. This jacquard system, basically what it is, it's a lot of little needles that penetrate the meat so your marinade can go inside of the meat. And it's very, very helpful on beef. It's not needed on the pork items or the chicken, but on the beef it's just about a must. Here's what one looks like. See all the little needles? And as you penetrate the beef, it goes inside there. All right, and this is my favorite part because I get to talk about insurance premiums. I get to talk about the government and how they're all overpriced and messed up while I'm beating the hell out of this meat. So here we go, jacquard system. Damn government can't make up their mind, can't make a decision. Pass laws have nothing to do with anything. Screwed up the economy so badly, I don't think you can do enough catering to straighten it out. Flip it over, give the backside a good beating. Trust me, this process will enhance the flavor of your brisket, and it's a lot of fun. You get to beat up on something and cuss about those medical insurance premiums that are out of line. There we go, good jacquarding. Now a little more with Andy's. Okay, we got this dark brown color. That's what we want. Pull out this bag. And we're going to slide him in the bag, fat side down. Okay? We're going to sprinkle red onions over the top of that meat. I hope you can see that process. It's not very difficult, but like I say, it will add to the flavor. And we'll whisk up this marinade a little, make sure it's all mixed, and away we go. You got your little puncture holes in there from the jacquard, and this beef's going to soak up all that flavor. And when you get ready to put it on the grill, you pour off the marinade, put a little more Andy's on there, and you're good for the grill. As simple as that. I do add a little extra pepper and garlic salt when I do my final rub before it goes onto the grill. See, there you go. See the rich color that you have on the meat? Kind of like a dark brown, almost black color. Want to move it around a little bit, make sure it gets into those pores you've created. And now it's time to marinate overnight. Okay, now I'm going to get into the cleanup process. So that's a pretty simple no-brainer. You just have to clean everything. Let me talk about a couple different products that will be coming online in the next month or so. Here we have an Andy's barbecue sauce that, I guess the original recipe goes way back to my Tree Lord days, with a few added items. Over the years, more spices and seasonings have been available that weren't available then, so we've kept up with the times and added what we thought it needed. Here's one that is designed just for chicken and ribs. Has a little different flavor profile. This one is more for the beef and the pork, large cuts of pork butts. This one will be for chicken or the ribs, which has a little sweeter profile. This is a glaze that we've developed for pork, especially for pork butts. It adds that little bit of kick at the end. Now, either one of the three is good for your last condiment to put on your barbecue product before you serve it. In fact, it could be called a table sauce. All right, so we've done the preparation and we're ready to put them on the grill. We're not going to do that on this particular video. That's going to be broken down into chicken and fowl, your pork products and your beef products at a later video. And what we'll do is we'll demonstrate the total cooking process as we do it on the Andy's drum cookers. So thank you for stopping in and having a little bit of fun with me today. The video has been provided by HTML Marketing out of Des Moines, Iowa. You give Justin Rogers a call. I'm sure I'll have his phone number and information on my website. The guy just does an outstanding job and has been very, very helpful in this process. I couldn't do it without him. So thank you for attending today, and Justin and I are going to have some chicken.